First of all, the face of the free speech movement was Mario Savio. Mario was born December 8, 1942, to an Italian-American family in New York City. Early in his life, he suffered a speech defect, where he would stutter his words. This was caused by him being forced to speak English instead of Italian by his father, yet this faded after he graduated high school. Mario was such a prominent leader during the movement because of his public speaking skill. His way with words didn't really become apparent until he delivered his valedictory at his high school graduation without a stutter. Mario originally attended Manhattan College on a science scholarship, but soon began his activism by joining a protest against raised fees at the low-cost municipal college. Mario Savio arrived at Berkeley campus in fall 1963. By December of that year, he became an active member of the Congress of Racial Equality, or CORE. He helped organize and tutor black high school and elementary school students. This project gave him his first encounter with political repression and the fear that the movements for social change evoked among conservatives. By 1964, he became a member of University Friends of SNCC to raise funds for the Mississippi Freedom Summer, and soon enough he volunteered for the Southern Campaign. Hundreds of volunteers risked their lives to help African Americans register to vote and teach in the Freedom Schools. The aim of this campaign was to democratize race relations in the South's most violent state. In September 1964, Mario Savio discovered that the UC Berkeley authorities had declared the Bancroft Strip off limits. The strip had been accepted as a place where students could hand out pamphlets and solicit names for petitions, but had recently been used for demonstrations against local businesses that
The Sheraton Palace Hotel was a new luxurious hotel that did not hire African Americans. So since Mario Savio was part of CORE and they had many sit-ins, this was the first one that he took part of on March 6th, and they protested for 22 hours until the manager finally agreed to hire African Americans, but he ended up getting arrested in the end. While in jail, Mario Savio heard of these freedom rides, so during his summer he went to Mississippi, and there he got scared of all the true racism that they had there, that his house ended up getting bombed, and people could go missing at any time, but he was there to help African Americans get their vote, and this experience helped influence him to fight inequality on his own when he returned. The free speech movement was most known for the events that happened on the Berkeley campus, and on October 1st, Jack Weinberg, while he was setting up a pamphlet table, he got arrested by police, and refusing to comply with police, he went limp and causing the police to drive their car onto the Sproul Plaza to arrest him, but a crowd ended up surrounding the car, keeping it there. By noon, Jack Weinberg was arrested, and him and 7 others were part of the group called Slate, in which they were quoted to be a fierce rebellion group, and Councilor Strong did not take this lightly, so he did not want to discuss with these rebels. And so 155 students by 2 p.m. blocked the dean's office to not allow any teachers to go out except through the window. Later that day, October 1st, as the crowd gathers, Mario Savio stands on the roof of the car to give speeches but is booed down by the police. The crowd starts singing civil rights songs like We Shall Overcome, and the police think instead to remove the car 4 a.m. the next morning, but they find themselves to be wrong, and the crowd continues to be strong the next day. Kerr finds out that the police make new arrangements to remove the car by force by 6 p.m., but as tensions grow between the 500 policemen with clubs versus the 7,000 protesters, the Governor Brown calls Kerr to confirm that the issue will be resolved peacefully. A discussion is called to be held at 5 p.m. with Mario Savio being the representative. Mario Savio argues over the wording of the document that proposed that they not follow civil disobedience anymore, but they changed it to a more vaguer term, not really solving the issue. But as the clock ticks and tensions outside seem to break into almost a fight, they signed the Pact of October 2nd.
On December 2nd, 1964, between 1,500 to 4,000 students assembled at Sproul Hall to hear Mario Savio deliver probably his most famous speech. This was as a last resort in order to reopen negotiations with the administration on the subject of restrictions on political speech and action on campus. I'll now recite part of the speech. There is a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart, that you can't even take part. You can't even passively take part, and you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop.
Police soon started to surround the peaceful protest at Sproul Hall, as the demonstration escalated to a point in size that in fact impaired the function of UC Berkeley. Now, of course, the protesters did stay, kept on singing, and kept on dancing. Now, these protesters were famous because they went completely limp as the police dragged each protester out of the hall. After much disturbance at Sproul Hall, the university officials slowly backed down. 2 months later, on January 3, 1965, the acting chancellor Martin Meyerson designed Sproul Hall as an area for open discussion. This largely marked the end of the movement, as Savio and his companions emerged victorious. The aftermath of the free speech movement began with the creation of the Vietnam Day Committee in the spring of 1965. It was an anti-war organization based in Berkeley and headed by Jerry Rubin and Jack Weinberg. They used the values that were instilled during the free speech movement to speak openly about the Vietnam War. On May 5th, the Vietnam Day Committee was involved with a peace march from Berkeley to Oakland. At first, the protest was met by Oakland Police Department, but they tried again on November 21st when 10,000 people marched through Oakland. On October 15th, VDC held their own sit-in, which saw a performance from Country Joe and the Fish. Country Joe and the Fish was a rock band that was most widely known for their musical protests. They originated from Berkeley during the free speech movement and were some of the first to speak out against the war in Vietnam. They performed at many teach-ins where they performed songs such as Vietnam Song and Feel Like I'm Fixing to Die. Finally, the free speech movement was followed by the hippie movement and most notably the Woodstock Music Festival. Woodstock was dubbed as 3 Days of Peace and Music. It took place in White Lake, New York, and peaked at about 450,000 people. The lineup featured famous artists such as Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, The Who, Grateful Dead, and Neil Young.